So today I'm trying out a new format of video just to see how it goes, just to see how easy it is to create, if it streamlines the process a little more so that I can get content out faster in the future. So I figured, why not start with a deck that includes Shuckle that actually gives Shuckle a decent role. And this is an unlimited deck, meaning that you can use cards from anywhere throughout Pokemon's TCG history. You can see already from the deck list here, we've got some base set cards in here just because they're so powerful. Why not use them? But in Unlimited, the goal is usually see which player can pull off the craziest combo, and in this case, it's potentially winning on turn one and kind of forcing your way into turn one. So the overall name of this deck, if you didn't notice by the title of the video, is Forretress Donk. A Donk deck is one that allows you to win on the first turn, and this one does it utilizing Forretress. We're going to get into all the potential combos here, but the main theme of the deck is attaching the same water energy over and over again to draw your entire deck, and then use all of the cards in your deck on your first turn to accomplish some crazy stuff. Which is why there's only 5 water energy over here. We only really need 1. This gives us quite a bit of breathing room for if a couple go to prizes or if they get discarded if we're not able to go first. But we'll go ahead and get into what makes this deck so powerful, why it's so fun to use, and how you can win on turn 1. So Sableye is going to be important here. This is the Sableye from Stormfront. It has the Pokebody Overeager. If Sableye is your active Pokemon at the beginning of the game, go first. So even if your opponent wins the coin flip, they decide to go first. When you both flip over your actives, if your active is Sableye, you go first. That's why there's 4 of them in this deck, because that is the ideal start. You're not always going to get that. A lot of the success of this deck is really dependent on what your first 7 cards drawn are, but this does allow you to go first and just run away with the game. So aside from the Sableye, we're also looking at a 2/2/2 line of Blastoise. For the Squirtle, I basically just went with the one Shell Shield. As long as it's on the bench, no damage can be done to it by any attacks, yours and your opponent's. That can be relevant within this deck, but not necessarily, because Forretress, it does deal damage to your Pokemon as well as your opponents when attaching energy. So if you do have stray Squirtles on the bench, you don't have to worry about them. If you're just looking for high HP Squirtles, I believe there's a 70 HP Squirtle about to be released in Pokemon 151. That's kind of the philosophy here on Wartortle as well. I would really just went for a high HP Wartortle. You're not going to be attacking with it. You're not going to be attacking with any Pokemon in this deck. Hence, the 5 basic water energies. So the Wartortle is just kind of a stand-in. You can use your favorite Wartortle here. Does not matter. What does matter is that you are using the Deluge Blastoise. This is a Blastoise I really enjoy using in GLC. Its Deluge ability, very powerful. It's kind of like a more modern, updated version of Rain Dance from base set. The difference being that this Blastoise has 140 HP, which probably not going to be relevant, but Deluge as an ability lets you attach a water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon as often as you like during your turn. Because when you attach a basic energy card from your hand to Forretress, you flip a coin. If tails, you put 2 damage counters on each Pokemon. That includes your Pokemon, that includes your opponent's Pokemon. The difference being that if you are going first, your opponent has not had time to set up anything on their side of the field. And, you know, you're already thinking, well, there's only 5 energy in this deck. Yeah, you can technically attach all 5 of them using Blastoise to just deluge those down onto Forretress and flip 5 coins. The means of making this an infinite cycle are with Espeon. This is the Espeon from Aquapolis. It has the Pokemon Power Energy Return. As often as you like during your turn, choose an energy card attached to one of your Pokemon and return it to your hand. So you can already see here, if you have Espeon and Blastoise in play, you attach a water energy with Deluge, you use Espeon to return that energy to your hand, you attach the water energy with Deluge, you can just attach the same energy over and over again, triggering Forretress's Iron Shell body over and over again, until those damage counters are spread around. And that is the basis of the deck. And there are a lot of other useful tools in here. So even for the Espeon, we're looking at using that Black Star promo Eevee that has Chain Reaction. So with Chain Reaction, when any of your other Pokemon evolve, you can search your deck for a card that evolves from Eevee. So if you're evolving from a Squirtle to a Wartortle and you have an Eevee in play, you can just go ahead and search out an Espeon and evolve it up. We also have one copy of Leafeon in this deck for its Pokébody Energy Refresh. That is in here as a counter to Forretress, because once Forretress has started stacking damage counters on your own Pokemon, you don't want to be knocking out your own Pokemon faster than you're actually knocking out your opponent. So if your opponent has, you know, they started the game with 4 Chanseys on their side of the field, you're going to have a rough start. But if you're able to get one of these 3 Eevees into play, evolve one into Espeon, get the other evolved into Leafeon, then you can use its Body Energy Refresh. As long as Leafeon is your active Pokemon, when you attach an energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon, remove 2 damage counters from that Pokemon. So this is just your kind of plan B. What do I do if my opponent starts with a bunch of high HP Pokemon on their side of the field? You get Leafeon into the active position and you utilize, you know, Espeon and Blastoise at that point to use Leafeon to heal damage off of your Pokemon. You're probably already thinking, well, how am I going to have a Blastoise and an Espeon and a Forretress and a Sableye in play? You know, if things are going perfectly, how am I accomplishing all of this? It's broken time space. This is Stadium from Platinum that lets you evolve Pokemon that came into play that same turn. So you can just play a Squirtle and then play a Wartortle on top of it and then play a Blastoise on top of that. You'll also see that we have Porygon and Porygon 2 in this deck. 2 copies of each. Porygon 2 is in here for its download Poké Power, so once your turn you can discard a supporter card from your hand and use the effect of that card as the effect of this power. This essentially lets you use 2 supporter effects in the same turn. The only supporter that is in this deck is Pokemon Collector over here. Pokemon Collector just lets you search your deck for 3 basics, show them to your opponent, and put them in your hand. So very early game, this can be important because you're going to discard a Pokemon Collector from your hand to grab, you know, basically whatever tools you need, whether it be a Pineco, an Eevee, or if you're just looking for straight up draw power, you are looking for these cards down here at the bottom, the Azelf, Uxie, Shuckle, and there's tons of other draw and search power over here as well. Computer Search, only 1 copy in here just because in Unlimited it does count as an ace spec card, so it's still very useful. It essentially goes, hey, go get the best card out of your deck, or go get the exact card you need right now. Don't really have to worry about discarding because there's also going to be just a lot of chaff that you don't need on turn 1. It's not like you're trying to play, you know, 29 Pokemon down on the first turn. These are all just available tools to help you get to your key components that are Blastoise, Espeon, Forretress. Everything else is just going to be based on whatever your needs for that match are. We can go ahead and look through the rest of these. Also got 2 copies of Bicycle that just lets you draw until you have 4 cards in your hand. So once you have played down just about everything you have in your hand, you can play Bicycle, get a little refresher. The entire goal of this deck is to just draw through your deck as much as possible, as much as needed, just so you can win on that turn. We got 3 copies of Level Ball as well. Search your deck for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less. That's going to be most of the Pokemon in here. I think Blastoise might be the only Pokemon that has above 90 HP. Let's see, Item Finder, just going to let you recycle some trainers, so even if you're not finding exactly what you need, you can just recycle a Professor Oak or a Scoop Up out of your discard. That way you can just use it all over again while ditching 2 cards that you don't really need. 4 copies of Professor Oak. You're probably not going to be playing all 4 copies in your deck. The 4 copies is just in here so that you have a higher probability of drawing into it early game. Playing everything in your hand except for an Oak, and then playing Oak as the last card and drawing 7 cards, extremely powerful. At that point, you've already looked at basically half of your deck. Scoop Up is going to be so you can scoop up some basically ETB effects that you're getting off of Azelf or Uxie. We'll go ahead and look at Azelf. It's got the Time Walk Poké Power. Once during your turn, when you put Azelf from your hand onto your bench, you may look at all of your face down prize cards. If you do, you can choose one Pokemon you find there, show it to your opponent, and put it into your hand. Then choose one card from your hand and put it as a prize card face down. This ensures that if multiple combo pieces that you need are prized, you're able to get them out of there. So if both of your Blastoise end up in prizes, Azelf is going to allow you to look for them in there and grab one out of there. One addition to this deck that I don't have in this deck list, but I have seen other people play, is the Rattata from Rocket that allows you to switch a card in your hand with one of your prizes, because after you've played Azelf, you can kind of memorize where the key Pokemon are in your prizes, or the key cards you need. It's not like you have to shuffle and put the prize cards back. You can just put them back. And so playing that Rattata just gives you another way to do what Azelf is already doing. But I think having two Azelf in the deck and then also having Scoop Up so that you can just play it, scoop it up, play it again, that gives you plenty of time walking to do. The other one is Uxie. It's got the Pokepower setup. Once during your turn, when you play it from your hand to your bench, you can draw until you have 7 cards in your hand. This is going to be a lot like a Professor Oak, where you're playing every card in your hand, and then the last card's going to be Uxie. You play it down to the bench, you draw a bunch of cards. You're going to get 7 more utility cards. The other draw tool in this deck is going to be Shuckle. It's got the Pokebody Fermenting Liquid. Whenever you attach an energy card from your hand to Shuckle, draw a card. You have this Shuckle that you can also utilize to just attach one energy to it over and over again. Attach, remove, and just keep drawing cards until you do have what you need in hand. So we'll jump back over to the trainers real quick and look at Luxury Ball. This is going to be one of your most powerful search cards in this deck because it's just a trainer. Search your deck for a Pokemon. Show it to your opponent and put it in your hand. Extremely powerful. Just search your deck for whatever Pokemon you want. No limitations as long as it's not a level X, which we're not playing in this deck. You're not able to use Luxury Ball if there's already a Luxury Ball in your discard, but we only have one copy for that reason. Moving on to Secret Mission. Another card that never saw very much play, but when it comes to decks that just want to draw a lot, this is extremely powerful. Look at your opponent's hand. Then you may discard as many other cards as you want from your hand and draw that many cards. Warp Point is seriously just in here to get Leafeon in the active position, because Leafeon needs to be in the active position to use Energy Refresh. We've already talked about Broken Space-Time, or Broken Time-Space. It is kind of the crux of this deck. You have to have this stadium in play to get where you want to be, because otherwise you can't get a Blastoise into play on turn 1. Vital to the deck, which is why there's 4 copies of it in here. But there's so many other resources that you are taken care of on turn 1. You're gonna run into very few situations where you're not able to just get this combo going off in exactly the way you need it to. You have so much draw power in here. You can draw power into more draw power. The only limitation you have is on Pokemon Collector, just because it's a supporter, but that's really just a utility card for searching out your key basic Pokemon like your Shuckle, Uxie, and Azelf. By the time you're playing Pokemon Collector, or by the time you're discarding a Pokemon Collector off of your Porygon 2, you don't need to draw anymore. Really, you're just getting extra Pokemon that are going to have these ETB effects, where as soon as you play them, you're drawing more. So at that point, you're not even really needing to dig through your deck much more. You're just searching out components one by one that are going to get you the win. Hopefully, all of the jumping around I've done here has fully explained what this deck does. I just really like the idea overall as a niche deck. You know, walking in with only 5 basic energy cards, you only need 1. Technically, you could run this with probably 3 water energy over here. There are versions of this deck that can run off of fire energy with Embor. Just for the sake of simplicity, I think most people remember Deluge or Rain Dance Blastoise the best, which allow you to just attach energy from your hand for free as many times as you want during your turn, and that's really what we're looking for here. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this video format. Let me know what you think about this Donk deck. I think I may draft up a few more deck lists in this video format just to put them out there, just to see how this works. That way I can get content out there faster for you guys. If you are interested in more vintage Pokemon TCG or even some modern stuff that I've been posting here lately, go check out the rest of the channel. Share the channel around, leave likes, comments, all of that stuff really helps. I appreciate you watching this far, and I'll catch you next video. I'll see ya. Bye.